You might see that the title of this video may change a couple of times. I don't really do story time, so I don't even know exactly what this video is officially going to be called. So if you see the name change, yeah, help me out. What should I title this video other than what you see? I met this friend when I was in middle school. I started my middle school year, 7th and 8th grade. The middle school I went to, yeah, it was just 7th and 8th grade. And I met him then. And I was technically the new kid around. Although I started at the top of the year, I was the new kid considering everybody from the two local schools, the two local elementary schools, were all familiar with one another. They knew one another. They had been going to elementary school with one another for years, and they all went to the middle school. And I was the new kid because I didn't go to the same elementary schools as everybody else. So when I met this particular person, this friend, we kind of clicked and hit it off right away. We were the two obvious people, I guess, from what people were saying, that were gay, if you will. At that time in 7th grade, I hadn't even really officially started to understand or accept that. It wasn't until maybe I was 16 and maybe in my sophomore year, I think, maybe is when I started to understand and accept that. I don't know. Anyway, he and I became cool, like I said, quite instantly. And we were just cool. We were cool. We hung out a lot. We talked on the phone a lot. I went over his house a lot. He came over mine. And at school, we hung out at school. We would hang out after school. Yeah, we were just, just two cool friends. And we stayed cool all 7th grade, all 8th grade, throughout high school. And then high school is when things got a little different. I had been saying to people before we got to high school in 8th grade that once we get to high school, 9th grade or whatever, a lot of people are going to change. I have been always somebody who's been a great judge of character over the years and still am. And I said that to people, and as time went on, they started to realize, and they would come to me. It was just like, hey, you were right. You were right. I'm like, I know. And unfortunately, I felt like this particular friend that I'm talking about fell into that category of people who started to change and switch up, when we got to high school. And yeah, he definitely fell into that category. And another thing, for me, for some reason, I've always attracted friends who were not necessarily friends with one another. And either they just simply didn't like each other, or, they were more like those high and by people who personalities just didn't mix. They didn't necessarily have a problem with one another. I always attracted friends like that. And with that, of course, comes those friends who feels like, oh, you're friends with that person, so you can't be friends with me. You friends with me, you can't be friends with that person. And I have never, ever, ever, ever been that kind of person. Just because you and another person have a problem with one another, that has nothing to do with me. This person has not done anything wrong to me, so on and so forth. So therefore, I'm not about to eliminate my friendship with this person just because you have a problem with that person. I've never been that person. But I have always attracted friends like that. That's when I really started to notice, okay, his difference, as far as everybody else that I was thinking about. I wasn't necessarily thinking about him when I spoke those words. I feel like a lot of people are going to change and switch up. I wasn't necessarily thinking about him, but that's kind of where it started. And I noticed it then early on in high school. He had friends that I just didn't really care for, and so on and so forth. And there was one friend that he had that I just didn't like this person at all, because the person crossed me, and once you do that, it's kind of a done deal after that. Fast forward to after high school. After high school, I went out of town for quite a while, and had been gone for a while. I was on this crew. I was working out of town as the office manager. So young. I was so young. And I was the office manager, and I had been out of town for so long doing that job and hadn't seen my best friend at the time in so long. And when I came back to town, I just wanted to be around him and hang around him. And we had a good time, and that's what we did. While I was out of town, I was online chatting on this website called BGC. Ooh, throwback. I had a cell phone at the time, but cell phones back then were not advanced in the way that they are now. So I interacted with people online, actually on the computer. I had been chatting with this guy back and forth for months now while I was out of town. And of course, we never met because he was here in St. Louis, which is where I live. And I was out of state some daggone where. So we had never met, but we kept in touch throughout the time and agreed that once I got back into town, he and I would officially meet. So I'm at my best friend at the time house, and I'm on his computer, and I'm online chatting with this guy, and my best friend can clearly see who it is that I'm talking to, and I'm telling him about this guy, and I showed him the pictures, and I'm letting him know, hey, and I'm like, this is my best friend. I wanted to just have my best friend involved, meaning I just wanted my best friend to know what was going on. On top of that, this is my first time back in town in so long. Me and this guy agreed to meet up the same day that I'm hanging out with my best friend, and I did not want to just completely ditch my best friend to go meet somebody who I'd never met. Although we've been chatting back and forth for a while, we didn't even exchange numbers until I got back in town, and we agreed to meet up that day. Now, mind you, keep in mind, I'm telling you that my best friend is very aware of who I'm talking to and how long we've been talking and so on and so forth. So anyway, I told the guy that we were going to go to our old high school, my best friend and I, old high school, and we were just going to sit in the bleachers down by the track and just come up to the high school, and I'll be up there and we can meet and talk there. My best friend, he can stay down in the bleachers and I'll come up there and talk to you, and that'd be that. Cool, that was the agreement. Fine. Everything went according to plan. We get to the high school. I text my friend, well, not my friend, but the guy. I text the guy, let him know that I was there. He was on his way. And I was excited to meet this dude. Like I said, I had been talking to him back and forth for so long online while I was out of town. So, coming back in town, finally being able to meet him, I was excited about that. So I remember the guy telling me that he had a Mustang, which was back then one of my favorite cars. He had a Mustang. He had one of the drop top ones. I used to be in love with those cars. I'm like, well, meet me a guy who's driving my favorite car. Ooh, shoot. Okay, I like this. Okay, cool. And yeah, so I saw him pull up. He pulled into the schoolyard. He pulled into the parking lot. But soon after he pulled into the parking lot, I noticed that he turns around, and I'm thinking he's turning around about to park somewhere different. But no, he turned around and left the parking lot and driving back down the same road that he came up, meaning he left. He left. He did not call or say anything. He did not text. He never explained to me why it is that he pulled up to the lot, turned around and left. I never heard from that man ever again after that day. Never another phone call, another text message. We did not communicate online. Nothing ever transpired between me and that man. He never spoke another word to me after that, and I was just so dumbfounded, like, what in the fuck is going on? I had never been so confused in my life. Like, what? Putting two and two together really didn't add up to four at the time because I just was so clueless. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm not thinking anything of the sort like, do you know this was like? I'm not thinking anything like that. And my best friend stayed quiet the whole time. He was just like, well, damn, I wonder what happened. What's wrong? What did you say? I'm like, we had no communication other than, telling him that I'm back in town. Let's meet. I'll be at the school. I'm at the school. And that was it. So I was just so like, why would he just, and my best friend was at the time was just like, going along with the same concerns I was expressing. I'm like, what the? Off and on, I would go online, because of course he's not answering any of the text messages or whatever. I only texted maybe twice after that day, and I would go online and I messaged him one more time to see if he would respond, and he never did. He didn't block me ever, but he never did respond. And I just was always just so lost and confused. And so that confusion stopped some time after that, and it wasn't the same day, it wasn't the next day, it wasn't a couple of days later, it wasn't a week later, it wasn't a month later. This same friend, whose name I'm not going to say, I have not said his name or anybody's name throughout this video, thankfully. took about a year, if not longer, to reveal to me what was going on. And I don't remember how we came about this conversation, but we were talking, having conversations about people that we were seeing in different situations that we were dealing with and all of that. And we were reminiscing about some things. That's how we got to that conversation as to what he revealed to me later on. So you remember that guy that you met online back then, and we agreed. Y'all was y'all was talking back and forth, and y'all agreed to meet up at the school, and we walked up there to meet him and all that. I'm like, yeah, I remember him. His name is such and such. I remember him. Why you at? Well, what? Now this is about, like I said, about a good year, maybe even longer after that situation. I know the reason why he showed up and left right after. Oh, really? Tell me. Well, this is what the friend is telling me. So the reason he showed up and left right after he pulled up is because this is somebody who I had been talking to for quite some time. Right, you feeling that too? What the hell you mean you was talking to him for some time? What are you saying here? Well, I had been talking to him for some time online, the same website that I had mentioned. I had been talking to him for some time on there, and we had been talking for a good while. Keep going. So, yeah, there's more. I had said to him, I'm quite sure I know where you're about to go with this, but why are you just now telling me this a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years later? Hold on. I want to tell you the rest of it. Okay. I think he might have saw me. Actually, he did see me, because when I talked to him later on that day. What? Yeah, he said that when he pulled up, he saw me sitting down there with you, and he thought that it was a setup or something like that. So that's why he left, and he never said anything to you because he thought that, you knew what was going on all this time, and you just wanted to confront him on something. I'm like, how would I be able to confront him on some shit that I didn't even fucking know? But yeah, that's why he left. And really, the big reveal is that we have definitely had sex with one another. And I said, okay, I figured that you was going that route, but sex as in like y'all just did some oral with one another? Nah. So y'all like had sex, y'all went there all the way type shit. Pretty much. Crazy thing is that he revealed to me that not only did they have sex once, not only did him and this guy have sex twice, they had sex about 3 or 4 times. Blew my top all the way the fuck back. Do you hear me? Now, mind you, I had already been having these skeptical, suspect-like feelings towards this friend for some time now. I just could never put my finger on anything exact. But that was the day that was just like, okay. The deal would, should have been sealed at that point. But that was when, for me, the trust was broken, and I looked at him differently. You mean to tell me for a year and a half, 2 years, I had, after so long, I stopped wondering. But for so long, you knew this whole time while I was at your damn house. And not only that, while we were chatting online, before I came back in town, you knew who the fuck this person was the whole time, because I'm telling you this person's name, I'm describing, so everything that I'm saying to you, you sort of pretty much so much know this stuff, and you ain't said a fucking word to me. So when I get in front of you at your place on your computer and actually show you this is exactly who I'm talking to, and you still held on to this information and didn't say a fucking word, and then a year and a half, 2 years later is when you revealed to me that not only have I been talking to this dude and I met him a couple of times, but we done fucked a few times. I hope I still got your attention. Yeah, crazy, man. People are something else. People are something else. And I wanted to do this story time in particular because I saw something on Instagram and someone talking about a situation and, you know, reasons why they are not cool with too many other gay people and blase, blase, blase. And it just really conjured up this thought. I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I want to get on this camera and I want to tell people this. And, everybody is different. Everybody's different. And for me, that was like a really big learning experience. And but it also, I remember it did something bad because it tarnished my trust for people even beyond what was there before. And it just made me look at people really strangely and different. I had already been through a whole lot in my life. And then somebody that I thought I was cool with and could trust and, all of these different things, do something like that. Now, I had never met the dude, like I said, we just was talking back and forth online, and finally agreed to meet up once I got back in town. So I wasn't too hurt about it on, considering that he and I had never really actually officially met and nothing ever really transpired between us. But this is a friend. So that's a different sort of hit than a stranger. So yeah, I just say be selective, pick and choose, and everything is a lesson. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you made it all the way through. Stay safe, stay safe, stay safe. Thank you. I'll see you next time.